That was called Déjeuner dans la cour. In spring and summer, the courtyard is the social gathering place for all of the family. Eugenie Rocherol. It's beautiful. Okay, now that we're all settled, good morning, everyone on Zoom and on YouTube, in the sanctuary, and welcome to the Universalist Unitarian Church of Halifax, established in 1837. My name is Jessica Friesen, your music director and coordinator for our summer services. During this time, we will have a variety of services featuring other UU congregations across Canada, although we're almost coming to an end here. Our minister today will be Reverend Julie Stoneberg from the Unitarian Fellowship of Peterborough. Our minister, Reverend Norm Harofker, will be back in a couple weeks as our summer services are coming to an end. And Marie-Claude Leroux is our Director of Religious Exploration. Paul Galbraith is our volunteer technician today, and Pam Berman is our service assistant. I would also like to thank Mike Bellin for all the beautiful arrangements that have been here for this summer and hopefully to come. And Margaret will be helping me with the chalice lighting. During the service today, the chat function will be open, and I invite you to extend our hospitality by saying hello to anyone that you do not recognize or by leaving a message for us. If you are not already receiving notifications from our church and you would like to receive updates on our activities and services, you can contact me, Jessica Friesen, 876@gmail.com. So the order of service went out yesterday over UU Info, and they include a lot of announcements. So like always, please contact Margaret Galbraith if you would like to attend a Sunday service at margalbraith@eastlink.ca, or her phone number, which is in the program or order of service. Second announcement, due to the pandemic, the retreat in August has been postponed. We are assessing an event at the church once we reach phase 5, so hopefully in September. And the new board will resume monthly meetings, and I believe the date September 15th is incorrect, TBA. And I'm excited that the Saturday brunch is going to be starting again in September, on September 11th. Weekly bag lunch preparations start Friday, September 10th, and new volunteers are welcome. You can contact Kath Anthony for more information. Also, Parker Street Food Bank has been very generous to our Saturday brunch, so please support them if you are able to do so. Please submit your contributions for the September newsletter by Wednesday, August 25th to Etta Ham, and her emails in the announcements in the order of service. And also a reminder that the in-gathering service is on September 12th, marking the new beginning of the church year, celebrating a blending of water service. You're invited to collect a small amount of water that is meaningful to you. If you are in the sanctuary, we'll add it to a communal bowl. If you are via internet, still bring it. So if you look at the newsletter descriptions of services, you'll notice today's sermon has changed. Don't worry, we will still have the reflection on the 8th principle, but in September instead of today. So like all Canadian Unitarian churches, we share the same theme for each month. Today, we will hear Reverend Julie's reflection on what the theme story means to the Peterborough Fellowship. And what a good way to start this service with a fun song from a classic story / musical. Sing along if you know this Rodgers and Hammerstein classic. Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, dark paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. Cream-colored ponies and crisp apple strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzel with noodles, wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings. These are a few of my favorite things. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose and eyelashes, silver white winters that melt into spring. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. Okay, come on, I'm getting that. We can edit it out. There we go. There we go. We needed that. We'll edit that out. We have to have some mistakes, right?
Oh, even Julie Andrews made mistakes.
Even Julie Andrews made mistakes. So now Pam will read our offertory.
The summer months are often a time of reduced giving, so early donations are most welcome. They can be made by e-transfer to the treasurer at uuch.ca or by check mailed to the church, and the details will appear on the screen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pam. I will now light our chalice, and I invite you to light your own candle or chalice at home. Pam, would you please read our chalice lighting words?
At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us.
So, time for our opening hymn. I have chosen the song Breaths because when you hear Reverend Julie's reflection, she talks about stories and coming from our grandparents, our parents, and everyone has a story. So the lyrics are listen more often to things than to beings. It's the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. Sing along with me. Listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Ah, whoosh. Ah. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the groaning woods. They are in the crying grass. They are in the moaning rocks. The dead are not under the earth. So listen more often to things and to beings. Listen more often to things and to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Ah, whoosh, ah, whoosh. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead have not packed with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are the wailing child. They are with us in the homes. They are with us in the crowds. The dead have a pact with the living. So whoosh, 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 za. Eleanor Reynolds will now speak on land and reconciliation as well as climate crisis awareness.
Good morning, everybody. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, published their latest report last week. This took 8 years to get together and hundreds of experts and almost 200 governments involved. Dire warnings indeed. Well, what can I do? Asked by many people. Every single person has a role. My day begins with deep breathing, meditation, and prayer to stave off despair. I use less water to brush my teeth and have a shorter shower, and I turn off the lights when I leave the room. I also love to walk in the public gardens. Our UU group are working, looking for solutions and to speak with you. The other day I came across a book called Marian Readers. I was taught when I was in 5th class in a one-room school almost 80 years ago. And the poem is called When Fairies Have a Picnic. When fairies have a picnic, they always tidy up. It would be a disgraceful thing to leave a broken cup. They roll up bits of paper and hide the orange skin and find a most convenient place to put the rubbish in. When fairies have a picnic, they see the fires out for fear that brother wind may come and scatter it about. They leave a pile of brushwood that is nice and dry for other picnic people who are certain to pass by. When fairies have a picnic, they never break the trees. They smooth the grass and daisy buds as gently as you please. And packing up their baskets, they softly steal away and leave the place all beautiful for someone else to play. Now, Leslie Robinson helped me with this, but he also told me about a radio program, What on Earth? And I recommend we look at it. It's wonderful. Radio 1, Sunday at 12:30. I think that's correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Eleanor. So this is a sacred time in our service, a time set apart to honor the many sorrows and the many joys that you, the congregation, are living, and to acknowledge the mutual support of our community. Margaret will help me light some candles here today. She will light one candle for all those who are here with us in our thoughts, who are struggling mentally, physically, financially, or emotionally. And we will also light one candle for all the joys that are in the room, the big joys that come along only infrequently, and the little joys that we are blessed by every day if we are able to see them. I will light two candles, or Margaret will light two candles, one for Norm Sabowitz, as he just celebrated his 83rd birthday, and one for Dr. Philip Welsh, who's been a member for many decades. And there are pictures on the slides there. You can see the two Norms, and those are Philip's children. And his son came in from Toronto. We are also going to light a candle for Rodney Vaughn, who is still in the hospital. And we'll light one more for his wife, Barbara Harsani, who is supporting. Thank you, Margaret.
Can I light candles?
Yes, and Margaret will light a candle.
For the people of Afghanistan.
Yes, that's very important. Margaret's going to be lighting a candle for the people of Afghanistan. Later, when we stop the live streaming on YouTube and before the coffee hour begins, I will invite anyone else to share a joy or sorrow and have a candle lit if they would like to do so. Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give. Let's repeat that. Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give. May the joys and sorrows, both those acknowledged here this morning and those held in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, weave us together in the interdependent fabric of community. This is the second time we will be hearing from Reverend Julie Stoneberg. I hope you enjoy this message called All We Are is Stories.
All we are is stories. And we're called to write them, to listen to them, to learn from them. Here again is the quote from the Nigerian storyteller, Ben Okri, was included in what Meredith read earlier. One way or another, we are living the stories planted in us early or along the way, or we're also living the stories we planted, knowingly or unknowingly in ourselves. We live stories that either give our lives meaning or negate it with meaninglessness. If we change the stories we live by, quite possibly, we change our lives. Do you think of your life as a story? Be it one that you're writing, one that was written for you. Earlier this week, I posted a picture of my parents on Facebook because this week is one of big anniversaries in my family. The anniversary of my dad's death 37 years ago, of my mom's 24 years ago. And today would have been my father's 101st birthday. I commented here that I commented in that Facebook post that I carry them in the stream that is my life. They played crucial roles in my story, particularly by suggesting their hopes for how my plot line would unfurl. And although I diverged from their preferred narrative, still, always, I carry the impact of their presence and spirit with every new page that I write. Perhaps like me, you've been moved at memorial services by how powerful the telling of a life story can be. They are looked at in its entirety, the themes and the urges and the shortcomings and the commitments contained in one life are easily, however insufficiently, captured in a single story. And I wonder why we don't more consciously use our stories when we're alive to give structure and direction to our lives, to learn from those behaviors we might regret. A story can help us understand how we came to be who we are and also who we want to become, giving us the sense of meaning and purpose. It sounds simple and beautiful and even cathartic. But telling our own story can be difficult, in part because we can be really too close up to it to see the whole arc of it. And telling our story is complicated by the reality that really there's not just one book inside of us. We are full libraries. We contain coming of age stories and mysteries and love stories and adventure stories and heroes' journeys. Telling our story can be like, name that tune, name a genre, and we can find something of it in us. So teasing out those overarching motifs and the life-giving threads requires some pretty careful attention and also curation, choosing the story we want to hear. Something else that can cloud the picture is that we simultaneously play multiple roles in our stories. We are, of course, the principal actor, the star of the show, who has some pretty singular personality traits, who has a unique way of interacting with the world, who lives with chosen or prescribed expectations that are built into our circumstances. But in addition to being the star of the show, we are the agent in our story, which is to say that we're responsible for making things happen, for making the decisions that will change the course of the plot, hopefully in the direction that we want it to go in. So in addition to being a star, the actor, and the agent, hopefully we are also the author, which means that we're the ones who have to, bundle everything together in a cohesive narrative that is most true to the story we want to tell, the story of our authentic selves. Now, this may sound complicated. Still, it's completely natural. It's even automatic for us to sort our lives into chapters and plots and stories. It's how we tell others about ourselves. Stories are just how we communicate. In order to make connections and have any relationships, we have to tell little pieces of our story about where we come from, about who we are, about where we're going. Yet, as Emily Dickinson so wisely advised, tell the truth, but tell it slant. We hold the power to choose the slant, the tilt, the lens through which we tell our stories. While we're creatures of habit, we're not destined to keep repeating what's always been. While there are many parts of our story that we have not intentionally planted or determined, there are always options to choose a different course. past can really be rewritten to serve both the present and the future. John Adler, who's a professor of psychology, says that a life story is written in chalk, not ink, and it can be changed.
All of these lines across my face tell you the story of who I am. So many stories of where I've been and how I got to where I am. But these stories don't mean anything if you got no one to tell them to. It's true. I'll tell my story to you. I climbed across the mountaintops, swam out across the ocean blue, across all the lines, I broke all the rules, and baby, I broke them all for you. Because even when I was flat broke, you made me feel like $1,000,000, you still do. That's why I tell my story to you. You see the smile that's on my mouth, hiding the words that won't come out. All of my friends who see that I'm blessed, but they don't know where my head is a mess. Oh, they don't know who I really am, and they don't know all that I've been through like you do. I'll tell my story to you. It's true. You made my story true.
Thank you so much, Leah. So let's come back to this idea that our stories are written in chalk. We take from all that surrounds us, fictional tales, the news articles, family apocryphy. We choose that which most resonates with us, and together with our lived experience, we craft our identities and our self-conceptions, and whether consciously or not, we weave it all together to make meaning and to create a worldview that shapes our life's unfolding. You know, it's kind of like a Mobius strip, you know, these things, a piece of paper that if you start on the outside, you eventually find yourself on the inside. You can't really separate what's on the inside from the outside because it's all connected, and it keeps changing. And that's how it is with our stories. It's what's on the outside is impossible to separate from what's on the inside. They affect one another. Our stories are life, and life is stories. All we are is stories. And so life goes along, and we use this frame that we've built to understand our story in a certain way. Now, I happen to have a personal meta narrative. I think you all do, whether you can recognize it or not, or you've named it or not. It's one that guides me, that resonates with the research findings of Professor Adler, who I mentioned earlier. He's noticed two themes in people's stories that tend to correlate with better well-being. One of them is agency, or feeling like you're in control of your life in some way. And the other is communion, feeling like you have good relationships in your life. Having agency and finding communion support well-being. And I truly believe that I have some control over both my life and what sense I make of it. And I also truly believe that good relationships deeply matter. So, well, So what is that when I'm in a stuck place or feeling down or have been knocked down to the ground, my story, this meta narrative is what gets me through. I know that there's something I can do to change it. And part of that, and part of what I can do is to reach out to others and connect. How is it for you? What meta narrative is it that informs the unfolding of your story? And, you know, here I am looking through my own lens, which is how I see the world. But if your meta narrative isn't life-giving for you, I think you have the possibility to change it. So how might you change it? Here's an example from my life. As many of you know, I have 5 brothers and sisters. And although we were raised by the same parents and only 11 years separates oldest to youngest, we had very different childhoods. For many years, I told my story as one in which I was not seen and was not loved for who I am. I told a story in which my parents, while good intentioned, spiritually abused me. And I told that story repeatedly. So, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, it came as a great surprise to me to learn that my youngest sister carries a story in which she had parents, the same 2 people, who loved her just as she is unconditionally. And I have taken her story and I have placed it alongside mine, and I have turned it over and over. And I've come to accept that both stories contain a bit of truth and a bit of slant. And in that examination, the victim that I was in my story receded. As my story interacted with that of my sisters, I let go of some of the blaming. I came to see my parents more fully as people with big hearts who just didn't know how to love me in the way I needed. I chose to believe, and I've come to believe that they would have loved me differently if only they had better skill to do it. And somehow this retelling of my story lays a much better foundation for how I want to see the world, how I want to see my parents, where I came from, but what I wish to be and who I want to become. I mean, it's just a much better story for me, right? I think that what really matters is whether we make something meaningful and coherent out of what's happened. Whether it's happened within us, around us, to people around us, in the world. As the Scottish philosopher Alistair MacIntyre has put it, I can only answer the question, what am I to do? If I can answer the question, of what story or stories do I find myself a part? This is the spiritual journey, right? What am I to do? Who am I to be? What is the larger story of which I am a part? After all we are is stories.
I've chosen this last hymn because she talks about troubles, and we all go through something in our life, and wouldn't it be a better story if we could change things a little? And so this song, I Know I Can, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, oh, I know I can go on when sorrows heal my I can go on. And though the journey is long, the destination is clear. Though troubles wait at every turn, come on, I know I can't go on. So brothers, take my hand, come on, and sisters, sing my song. And trouble waits at every turn. I know I can go on. Oh, I know I can go on. Oh, there we go. I know I can go on. So as I extinguish the chalice, Pam will read words by Deborah Burrell called Kindle New Sparks. The words will be on the slides.
We have basked in the warmth and beauty of this flame and this community. As the chalice light is extinguished, let us carry its glow within. Let us kindle new sparks within these walls and beyond.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you who all attended here in the sanctuary, by Zoom, by YouTube. And I will say goodbye to those who joined us on YouTube now, as we will end our live streaming. For those who joined by Zoom, in a few minutes, we will return to share joys and sorrows, followed by our virtual coffee hour. So the streaming will now end.